Niggas on me examine. I speak the truth, I'm a realist. I ain't just dedicated, I'm committed. Pull up white polo T-palm, Angel Sweat, VVS baguette. They know our next. Locked down 23 hours, 1 hour wreck. Look at me now, everything.
What's up, everybody? Happy Motivation Monday to y'all. Y'all, I just want y'all to take a moment, breathe in, breathe out, stay in the moment, appreciate the moment. Today, we're going to talk about lockdown mentality. Today's Slaughta FiT right here at STWF Studios. Lockdown mentality, what do I mean by that? For my brothers and sisters, anybody that has ever been incarcerated, you should know exactly what I mean when I say lockdown mentality. When you are locked away from all your distractions, people have a way of maximizing their greatness, maximizing their potential. When you are locked away from all those distractions, you're even locked away from a lot of your excuses. When you free, you break promises to yourself all the time. You take small things for granted. When you get locked up, you can see who's real, who's not. You can see the opportunities you squandered. You can see the small little blessings you took for granted. But for some reason, you don't even think about that when you're allowed freedom, when you're allowed all your freedom. So what makes me think about lockdown mentality? Me, I like my cigars, I like my vodka. And there's often times where I say, you know what, this week I'm gonna chill on it. Get off after a long day, got another cigar lit up, sipping some more vodka. And I think about when they say man is only faithful as his options, I think about times of incarceration, and thank God I have not been, no career criminal, haven't been locked up maybe about 7, 8 times, most of it petty stuff, to be honest. I've never done a year, thank God, of incarceration at any stint. So it was nothing too serious. But if you've had your freedom taken away for a day or two, especially for weeks or months, you really get in tune with the real you. You can run around the streets, even living lies when it comes to your own self. You can have this facade going on in the streets. When you sipping that courage juice, when you got a cup of lean, when you popping those pills, when you with your partners, you have this, it's almost like a facade that you start to believe. But boy, when you get off the lean, when you get off the dope, when you're not sipping the vodka or the cognac or the Hennessy, when you're not popping the Percocets or smoking that perp, and you off in that jail cell or off in that day room, sober as can be, there's dudes bigger than you, there's dudes more gangster than you. You have a way of snapping back to who you were really meant to be. Some people try to overdo it and overcompensate and try to become more gangster. Some people, I've noticed this, they come in the first 2 or 3 weeks gangster as hell. They get around those real gangsters and all of a sudden they become church boys. They become choir boys. They become, whoa, I'm real, but I ain't that real with it. I'm kind of with it. I'm not all the way with it. I ain't with it at all. But the discipline that comes from having nothing, the creativity, we need to be able to tap into that same energy right here in this beautiful free world. Out here, if you have access to the cigars and the vodka, it's almost impossible to have a long, hard day at work and not come home and enjoy it. But when you off in there, F that vodka and cigar. I just wish I was at home to have a home-cooked meal. I just wish I could hold my girl right now. When you're out in the world, you're neglecting the hell out of her. You're moving funny, you're moving certain ways. But then when you're locked away from it, you cherish it, you miss it, you appreciate it. And I want to encourage those people who know what I'm talking about to have that same love and passion and appreciation without having to be locked down. Because when you lock down, the memories have flavor to them. When you're out in this free world, oh, I wonder what happened. Oh, I remember that one time, and you just keep it moving. You're moving so fast, you can't even really see moments. And that's what life's about, moments. But when you lock down, those memories have flavor. Man, I remember that. My grandmother's cooking, her laugh. Man, I remember that one beautiful chick, man, that smell that you just, everything comes alive when you feel like, when you're locked away from these meaningless distractions. You out here, you on the phone so much. People in the gyms between sets are sometimes resting too long, checking their TikTok, checking their Instagram, checking their Facebook. When you get off in there, now you know cell phones are starting to be snuck off into certain facilities. They creeping them in there, whatever. But that's not normal. You're not just finna sit around on your cell phone all day. If they catch you with it, it's a whole new charge. But out here, we're distracted by any and everything. Once you get down, a lot of times you're not distracted by nothing. You are so passionate when you promising yourself what you're gonna do when you get out. You're thinking, you're strategizing, you're planning. Some people, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Some people often are wasting time, playing games all day, hanging around certain cats, trying to become more gangster, trying to become this cripple blood, you know, doing all this other stuff, you know, rapping, which is, you know, it's an art form, it's expression. But I've seen many people do their time different ways. But the one thing that never fails is once they get out and taste that freedom, that free air hit them, if off a nerve, they start praying. They become a better man. When their women and kids come to visit them, they're like, where was this guy at? Now he's saying all the right things. He's talking with so much wisdom. Man, he has purpose. His words have power. Man, I can't wait for him to get out because this man is going to take over the world, according to him, and he done sold me on it. This is his wife and kids thinking. The man gets out. A man is only as faithful as his options. When he was off in there, man, I'm gonna leave that little 22-year-old girl alone and quit cheating on my wife. Man, that 22-year-old girl that came to visit me and put no money in my books, I was wasting time and money on her. Then he gets out and see that little 22-year-old girl with the Daisy Dukes on. All those penitentiary prayers and promises out the window. All that discipline of working out real hard and sticking to a regimen. Oh, my partner having a barbecue. Oh, this dude, he finna bring over some smoke. Oh, man, we finna go across town and kick it with these little females. Oh, we finna go to the strip club. Oh, man, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. Man, you on YouTube, you in this rabbit hole. But when you was on lock, your perspective was clear. That's what I mean by lockdown mentality. How many people, if you've never been incarcerated, how many people have had a loved one get incarcerated just for you to finally see their greatness? Man, I didn't know you could draw like that. Man, I didn't know your body could look like that. Man, you was on those drugs so bad, I forgot that you could do this. I never knew you could rap. I never knew you could sing. Man, you can write a whole screenplay. You can write a book. When we're locked away from distractions and these pleasures and these habits and vices that we think we have to have, the real us start to emerge. We are introduced to a whole different side of ourselves in a lot of cases. And times like that, a saying I came up with my one and only time going to prison, the pen is a black man's college, but a nigga's hell. It's like certain people will get incarcerated, they'll start going to the law library, they'll start reading, they'll start learning about agriculture, they'll start learning about spirituality, all different forms. And they will learn and gather so much knowledge. I've seen people do years and come out, they can speak Hebrew, they can speak Spanish, they can understand Greek mythology, but in the free world, there was just a dope fiend. There was just a drunk. There was just a bump on the couch, a bump on the log. So when I talk about lockdown mentality, I'm not talking about primetime Dion locking down a receiver. I'm not talking about MJ being a lockdown defender. I'm talking about having a mindset of a lockdown offender. Not a defender, but an offender. I have seen some strange things happen when a man or animal has their freedom taken away. When you first walk into the county jail in a bookend process, I've been locked up in Oak Cliff, Fort Worth, Grand Prairie, Arlington. When you first walk in the holding cell, the first thing, when you see one dude with that roll of toilet paper under his head, you just wishing. When you first walk in, it ain't no big deal, the first 30 minutes. After 2 hours, you're looking at him in that roll of toilet paper. If I just had a roll of toilet paper to lay my head on. After 3 or 4 hours, that roll of toilet paper started looking like a big old fluffy pillow to you. The things that you take for granted here, often there, some people fight over it, some people kill over it, some people steal over it. But it's the appreciation for the small things that we have on lockdown that we will kick out of our way in the free world. So when I say lockdown mentality, slow down and appreciate the small things you got. Don't have to be in a life and death situation. You shouldn't have to be facing 50 years to appreciate the sound of your mother's voice or your girlfriend's voice, or to finally be able to really listen to what your kid have to say because you're not so drugged up and you're not so busy ripping and running. That lockdown mentality, the reason why I brought this topic up, because when it comes to me, I look at some of the stuff I'm doing, the way I'm living my life. And yeah, I have some discipline, should have more. Yeah, I have appreciation, but I should have more. I have gratitude, but not enough. And I think back to my first and only time going to the penitentiary. It took me one time. I learned my lesson. When I went there, I remember distinctively one Friday, it was about 5:30. I said, there's a man somewhere on his way home from work, mad at the world, what I wouldn't do to be a bad day out in that free world. What I wouldn't do to be stuck in traffic and can't wait to get home. And I was like, there's a man out there, really there was millions of men and women and young adults or whatever, on their way home from work on a Friday, just not even realizing I'm off for the weekend. I got a car. I don't have to take a dump in front of 50 people. I don't have to hear 80 opinions behind every TV show. We're oblivious to certain things. When we drive in our cars, whether they're fancy or not, a running automobile, there's someone in the third world country chained to a tree, chained to a basement, working all day for $1, starving, drinking polluted water, being raped, sodomized, decapitated because of their religious beliefs. That stuff is happening every day while we complaining because the boss snapped at us a little bit. We're complaining because the dog had an accident on the floor. When I say lockdown, creativity, these people are creating some of the best tattoos I've ever seen. They can make ink with minimal resources. I was locked down by the border of Mexico, Eddingsburg, the Lopez unit. Come in the bathroom, these SA smoking cigarettes. We got no lighters in here. That hand dryer, if heat comes out of it, it has a heating element in it. These dudes are construction workers. They know anything that produces heat has a heating element, a heating coil that lights up just like a stove. So they went up under there and figured out a way to light the cigarettes. People figure out a way to make weapons, hide weapons, in places where there's no hiding places. They make a motor with very little resources, radios and stuff like that, Walkmans. They take all these little gadgets and make a motor for a tattoo gun. The creativity is just will blow your mind how much you can do when you have less and no choice but to be resourceful. So resourceful when they're on lockdown. Get out here, just wasting time, just playing video games, just trying to knock down every female they can, claiming they're rapping but taking 2 or 3 years to do 2 songs, no music videos out, claiming that they're trying to do this or trying to do that, but they just hanging with the homies. Lockdown mentality. Whether you've been incarcerated or not, you know somebody that have, or you can imagine just from seeing it on TV, from seeing it on movies. Damn, why do you think so many people don't break the law or go on the run or do whatever to avoid jail? Everybody knows it's not good. Everybody's like, man, I ain't never been locked up, but I can look at that and tell that's not what I want. But for the people who have actually been in a cage like an animal, for the people who've actually had their freedom taken, got to be told when to eat, got to strip down naked in front of everybody. Watching grown men masturbate over a woman that is fully clothed. Just the sight of a woman will stimulate you now. You wishing you can go home and make love to your woman all night long, every day, but you ignored her and neglected her when you was in the free world. Many, many, many nights went to bed without even touching her. But now, if you could just feel her hand, if you could just rub her thigh, when you was in the free world, damn, move back, I'm trying to sleep. That's what I mean by lockdown mentality. Don't have to be incarcerated to think like a great man, to come up with a great plan. And if you are unfortunate enough to be in that situation, it's okay to plan. My uncle did 12 years federal. He planned and planned and planned and planned. Some of these other dudes was playing. This dude planned and planned and planned. When he got out, he executed. Owns properties in the real estate, got a boat, go get his dinner out the ocean, and his vegetables out of his own garden. That man did 12 years on lock and playing nonstop and came out and running circles around people that didn't do a day. The penitentiary can be a black man's college or a slacker's hell. You don't have to, it's not about race, it can be a real man's college or a slacker's hell. There's many men, Asian, white, Hispanic, and any other nationality that you can think of who have really, really prospered and grown through a terrible situation. And completely were ravaged and pulled down to the pits of hell from the same situations. Started sleeping with men, catching AIDS, started gangbanging and dying over a couple of Roman noodle soups, dying behind some paper dice, dying behind a football game, rioting over a TV, fighting another man over another man that's supposed to be a girl. Anything you can imagine can happen behind these walls. So I've heard Charleston White say he thinks every black man should be locked up because the penitentiary makes them better. That's not always true, but I have seen some greatness come from men being incarcerated. To me, that's one of the same reasons why people come from third world countries and run circles around us, because we got it so easy that we forget how to get really grimy and greasy, how to really get that grit. I'm talking about that, you know what I'm talking about, that grit. And I have seen it when I was working in a warehouse years ago. Thank God, I'm a true blue entrepreneur. Haven't punched the clock for nobody in years. And that's what the free world provides. You can do anything. But I remember distinctively working at a warehouse. I worked at several. This is like literally, I'm driving, you got these lanes, just like a grocery store, all these boxes. I drive down one lane, it's 5 or 6 Hispanics, dude, throwing boxes, working, packing these boxes up and laughing. Why they so giddy? Man, these people paying us $17 an hour in Mexico. We can make 35 cents, if that, and we in an AC. This is no joke. Drive down the next aisle, a group of brothers complaining. Man, they said they was gonna give us a break at this time. Man, the old boy said we're supposed to be getting raised. I ain't seen no raise. They say we might have to work Saturday. Man, that's some BS, man. I got planned. No joke. Drive down the next aisle, group of Hispanics dude laughing and working and whistling and just in the best mood ever. I'm not making this up. Drive down the next aisle, another group that looked like me, complaining, BSing, and just, that's not a coincidence. These guys that are laughing and whistling, they have what I call the lockdown mentality. I come from nothing. Me and these three dudes, we all live in the same apartment. We all getting paid. We all double teaming this rent. We sending money to Mexico. We put money in our savings. We put money up under the bed. You watch them 2 or 3 years later, they all got their own places. 2 or 3 of them might have their own business. They got brand new trucks. I've seen people be here for years and let a man that do 12 years get out and blow past them. I've seen people that was born here, born with a Social Security card, get out worked by some guys whose family and friends died to come over here to get a temporary work visa that's not quite a Social Security card. So they got to be creative, come up with scams. I'll give you $2,500 to marry me. I'll give you $7,000. I just want an opportunity. You drive down Cooper Street in Arlington right now. Over here at this Quick Trip gas station, right on the corner of Cooper and Mayfield, you'll have a couple of black dudes, couple of white dudes. This morning it was an Asian dude outside begging for money. Across the street, you got guys from Mexico standing there not begging for nothing, waiting to work. They like, oh no, I didn't come over here to beg. I came over here to work. I'm gonna stand right here. If you need a couch moved, I'm right here. It's cold outside, it's raining. I'm not guaranteed to make a penny, but I'm available if you need me. I'm not going over to the store and begging. I'm gonna stand here as a man and wait for some work. That's all they know. It's a different mentality. Some people come out of that cage a beast in a bad way. Some people come out of that cage a beast in the best way. They attack their goals. They slaughter those excuses. They slaughter that old juvenile way of thinking. They slaughter that sloppy way of moving. And they pull it all together and become great. What breaks some men makes some men. Lockdown mentality, Slaughta FiT.